Hey guys, it is Tamra. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about self-actualization and a couple of ways to ensure that you can leave behind the painful family involvement and the painful relationship that you have had with your parent. You know, I've been talking a lot recently about parents, and one of the things that I've highlighted is psychosis, borderline personality disorder, cluster B, personality disorders such as narcissism and antisocial personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and a host of other topics. So I think this video is proper and in place, and I'll explain a little bit more as we continue. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Thank you so much for all of you who are subscribed and participating and have come back to my channel time and time again. Thank you so much. And for those who are new, which there's a lot of new subscribers, I welcome you. And for those of you who are really new and know nothing about me, I encourage you to first hit that subscribe button, then do some research throughout the channel. Tell me what you think of some of the videos. Let me know. Come back to the comment section below and let me know if you want me to zone in on a particular question that you have or a topic. I am open to that. I need some ideas moving forward for January 2021. So I welcome you to comment. I welcome you to subscribe. The benefits for you in today's video is that I'm going to highlight some different ways that you can actually engage in self-actualization and move forward into your future without holding on to the pain that you have experienced. Before we get into that, let me go ahead and briefly introduce myself. My name is Tamra. I'm an internationally certified and board certified trauma therapist. I work a lot with children, teens, and families. I'm licensed in mental health, and what you're going to get on this channel is a lot of topics that has a foundation of trauma. Self-actualization. So let's talk a little bit about what that is. So self-actualization is basically the idea that you have reached your fullest potential, that you have gotten to the height of your development in life, right? Some people feel like that's a good job. Some people feel like that's marriage. That's having a child for the first time. Some people feel like that's making, 6 or 7 figures, right? If there's any such thing in today's society. Some people feel like that's buying a brand new car out of a showroom. Some people feel like that's keeping their health going for years, right? So everybody has a little bit of a different definition of what self-actualization is. Abraham Maslow coined the term self-actualization, and he was all about a hierarchy of needs, which I talk about in this video right up here. I encourage you to check that out when this video is over. But he talks about a hierarchy of needs and how important it is that our needs are fed, right? In order for us to be the best that we can be. We have to have love. We have to have belonging. We have to have food and shelter and money to survive. We have to give back to the community. So he focuses on, as you will see in that video, I talk about it and how today's society just isn't allowing us to have all of those needs met. But he talks about that as being something essential. And so he's also coined the term self-actualization, and he focuses a lot on getting to your higher self, right? Getting to that place in your life where you feel like you have everything that you need emotionally, psychologically, physically to be the best that you can be. So I want to take that theory and that spirit, and I want to give you some tips on how you can do that in your own life. All right, so let's just go ahead and jump into that. All right. The first thing that I suggest when you are trying to reach your highest potential and you feel like it's really difficult to leave behind pain, it's really difficult to leave behind a bad decision, it's really hard to leave behind doubt that you may be experiencing, I often encourage my clients to see themselves outside of the situation. What I mean by that is when you see yourself in your mind as still being involved in that situation, it keeps you stuck. It's like quicksand. It grabs a hold of you and it sinks you to the bottom. You have to be able to see yourself moving forward. You have to be able to envision yourself outside of that painful situation. So an example of this may be getting a piece of paper and writing down, putting a line. I'm going to actually do this with you instead of explaining it. I'm going to actually do it with you. So this is what I'm suggesting. So you're going to get a piece of paper, okay? You're going to create a line down the middle, okay? Something like this, if you can see it. Line down the middle of your page. On one side, you can say my current state. Okay, we're just gonna, you name it, whatever you want to name it, but I'm gonna say my current state. And then I'm gonna also put my future goals. Okay, so this is how it's gonna look. All right, however you decide to categorize these two columns. Let's say your current state is this: pain from childhood, okay? Resentment, okay? Fear, doubt, anger, and we can just keep going on and on, right? Abandonment from my mother, abandonment from my father, abandonment from my coworkers, whatever it may be. You write that down in my current state, okay? My future goals. Well, move to California. Let's say that's a goal of yours, okay? Overcome childhood trauma, okay? Okay, and this is how you're going to do this, right? So, you're going to add these things in like almost like a bullet point or list form, right? And you can actually either draw images of where you want to be in your future, or you can make a long, long list of where you want to be. Then you want to make another list, but in that list, you want to make a list of the steps that you need to take to get to the future goals that you have in mind. Well, I need to let go of the pain that my mother and my father have caused. I need to get out of this deadbeat relationship. I need to find a new job. Well, in order to find a new job, I need to go online to Indeed.com. This is not an endorsement, just an example. I need to go to Monster.com, okay? Then I need to apply. Then I need to get my resume updated. So you want to put down in a list form all those baby steps that you're going to need to take to get to your best self, okay? That is step number one. All right. The next thing that I suggest is find purpose on your own. You don't want to look to somebody else for your purpose, right? You don't want to look back at your painful past for purpose, because if you do that, let's say you have a history of being molested. Let's say you have a history of being abused by your mother, your father. Let's say you have a traumatic childhood. You don't want to look back and then categorize yourself based on that, right? You don't want to make your current self what's the word I'm looking for, guys? You don't want to paint your current self, I'll say, based on what happened to you in your past, if that makes sense. You want to paint your current self as being that of someone who's moving forward. So I know that I'm here right now, but I'm going to move that way, and that way is forward, that way is up. And in order for me to do that, I need to find purpose in a way that's going to push me where I want to be, right? I can't look back and find my purpose, because that is said and done. I have to create new purpose now and move forward. I hope that makes sense, guys. I could get my words straight on that one for a minute there. But that's what you want to do. Current place, purpose forward. Okay? Never look back for your purpose. Never look back for your purpose unless it's a positive thing. Always look forward for your purpose. That's the only way that you're going to make it ahead. All right? The next thing that I suggest is avoiding compromising and settling. You don't want to compromise because you want. You don't want to compromise because you desire. You don't want to compromise because you feel that that's all you're able to get, right? You don't want to settle because what if I don't find such and such in the future? You don't want to do that. The minute you compromise and the minute you settle, you're cutting yourself short, and you're going to get to a certain place in your future and realize, oh, it wasn't really worth this. And then you're going to regret. Then you're going to have doubts. You may even find yourself in a terrible situation that you can't get out of. So settling and compromising, there has to be a line drawn. I would draw that line in the sand and say to myself, no more compromising, no more settling. Okay? The other thing that I suggest is stay in your own lane. The minute that you are traveling along in your own life, guys, you're going your route and you turn to look at somebody else's lane, that's when you've gone the wrong road, right? Because now you're over in their car wondering what they're doing over there at the red light, right? You're stuck because now you've stopped looking at your journey. You have stopped looking at your future and your goals and your steps. You're now looking at that other person's vehicle, wondering what they're doing and how they got what they got and why they're there and you're not, right? Don't look at their lane. Stay in your lane, okay? I love that metaphor. I heard that years ago, and I can't remember who. It might have been one of my mentors. But stay in your lane. That's the best way to do it. The minute you start looking around and getting distracted, that's when you've lost your foundation. So stay focused on your route. Stay focused on your purpose, your goals, stay in your lane, all right? The next one that I suggest is work on your overall health, right? You can't really do good in life if your mind is not healthy, if your heart is not healthy, if your soul is not healthy, if your spirit is deadened, right? You can't really move forward if you are unhealthy, right? You're overweight, or you have a medical condition that you haven't taken care of, or you have depression or anxiety and you're just like forcing yourself through this life. You're not getting counseling, you're not getting spiritual insight, right? Take care of your overall self. You can't move ahead when you fixed all those things over there and right here you forgot to fix this, right? You fixed your, your relationship, you fixed your job issue, you fixed your financial issue, but now your health is not well. Like, that's not going to work. So you got to do all of it, right? So take care of yourself all the way around. That is important, okay? The next thing I suggest is indulge in wonderful, pleasurable things, but in moderation. Everything in moderation, guys. Food, relationships, fun times, parties and events, gatherings, social relationships, all in moderation. Because if you overdo any of those things, anything that you overdo can become a threat to your goal. So you want to make sure that you indulge, but indulge in moderation, okay? Resolve within yourself. This is the next one. Resolve within yourself that it is okay that I have a traumatic past. You have to be able to settle it within your heart and your mind that, okay, I had this traumatic past, and yes, I'm dealing with A, B, and C, and yes, I have depression and anxiety, and yes, my mother is this way, and yes, my family is this way. They're toxic and unhealthy, but I am going to be okay. Resolve it within your heart and your mind. Resolve it within your soul that, yes, I have this past, but yes, I'm going to have this kind of a future, and I'm going to make sure that I have this kind of a future. I just have to do the things that I've been avoiding, or I just have to do the things that I'm not too sure about, or I just have to do the things that make me afraid. Resolve it within yourself that it is okay to have a traumatic past and that you can move forward, okay? The other thing that I think kind of relates to that is being able to resolve within yourself that it's okay to be alone, right? Get to a place where you're comfortable being alone. If you don't know how to be alone with yourself, then that's a problem, because you're never really going to have other people in your life at all times, right? Like, nobody's going to be with us. Ultimately, we are alone on this journey, right? We have our own internal thoughts. We have our own internal feelings. We have our own views and our own experiences that we can't necessarily share all the time. So we are ultimately alone, right? Even when we have someone holding our hand, we're still kind of alone. Even though we have somebody there with us, they can't experience exactly what we're experiencing, right? They can't see through our eyes, right? So ultimately, we're alone. You have to be comfortable and get comfortable with being alone. That's the only way that you're going to survive. And I resolved that within myself years ago as a college student. I had to learn, and even as a graduate student in this profession, I had to learn that it's okay to be alone. Resolve that within yourself, okay? The next thing, and this is something that I tell my clients to do all the time. Treat your adult self better than your child self was treated. Treat your adult self better than your child self was treated, okay? I'm going to give you a minute to let that like click. Because when I thought about like, oh, you know what? This is what I always tell my clients to do. And I put it in different terminology. I'm like, wait a minute. I have to like think about myself. Treat your adult self better than your child self, okay? Your child self may have been hurt, molested, raped, assaulted, beat up, abused, neglected, whatever. Treat your adult self better than your child self, okay? The next thing is give yourself permission to hurt. It is okay to look back and doubt. It's okay to look back and hurt. It's okay to look back and feel that pain, right? Pain is a part of living. Pain says I'm alive. Pain says I'm a human. So it's okay to feel that pain. It's that moment when you say, nope, I don't want to feel that pain, that you kind of stunt your growth, right? Because you're not allowing yourself to experience what makes you human. So allow yourself in moderation to experience that pain. And last but not least, I have here on my list, recognize it won't look like somebody else's healing, right? Somebody else may have had healing in a certain way. It doesn't mean that your healing is going to come in that same exact way, right? So recognize that your healing is not going to look like they're healing. It may take some time. You may have to go back to therapy. You may have to come out of therapy, right? You may have to get on medication. You may have to get off of medication. You may have to go get substance abuse treatment. You may have to go get a trauma therapist. You may have to pray more. You may have to, whatever the case is, right? Your healing may not look like somebody else's healing. I hope these tips were helpful, guys, and how to get yourself on the path to self-actualization. Okay, this is Self-Actualization 101. I do hope it was helpful. Thank you so much for being with me today, guys, in this video. I encourage you to give it a thumbs up if it was helpful, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around and be a part of our growing and validating community. Again, I welcome my new subscribers, and for all of you who have been with me this far along, thank you so much for your continued support. I love to let you know that I'm grateful every now and then. I think you need to know how much I'm grateful for you. So thank you so much for helping me to reach other people on this channel. It couldn't be done without you, really. So thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.